Sir, good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning to everyone. On behalf of Department of CAC and Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute, I would like to welcome our guest speaker of the day, Dr. Kunwar Singh. And I hope this session would be useful because he is going to talk about blockchain technology. I hope this session would be useful for the participants, those who are doing the research work in the domain of IoT. Now I am requesting my colleague, Dr. Victor Sudha Jaj, to take over the session and introduce the speaker. Thank you.
Good morning. I, Dr. G. Victor Sudha Jaj, welcome you all for the fourth day of the ATL FDP on cyber security using ML applications. Let me start with the beautiful quote by Henry Ford. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. The greatest thing in life is to keep your mind young. Yes. Okay. In this process, we are about to learn about from three different speakers today. They are blockchain technology for cybersecurity from Dr. Kunwar Singh, then nature-inspired learning mechanism by Dr. Shivashankar B. Nair, and finally, practical applications of forensics tools for examination and analysis of digital storage by Mr. A. Gogula Krishnan. Now, we are about to start the first session, Blockchain Technology for Cybersecurity by Dr. Kunwar Singh. To talk about SAR, SAR is working currently as Assistant Professor at NIT Trichy. He obtained his PhD from IIT Madras. His area of interest and research is in cryptology and also blockchain technology. SAR has published many papers in peer-reviewed journal and conferences in the area of cryptology. Now, I kindly request SAR to take over the session. Please, sir.
Okay. Thank you, madam. Thank you for inviting me to deliver the lecture. Thank you. So I'll start now.
Yes, sir. You can proceed, sir.
Okay. So my topic is blockchain technology, and I'll tell about its first application. The first application of blockchain technology was Bitcoin, cryptocurrency Bitcoin. So once Bitcoin became famous, later on people realized that blockchain technology has other applications also. Okay. So first in this part, first I'll talk about some cryptographic primitives used in this blockchain. Okay. And then I'll talk about blockchain, and then simultaneously I'll talk about the how the Bitcoin was designed. Okay. So that is very much. Okay. So first thing is the Bitcoin cryptocurrency. Let's see some you can say properties of Bitcoin cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin cryptocurrency, we don't need any trusted party. Like rupees and dollar, they have trusted parties. Like rupees, we have trusted party, like Government of India, RBI. Okay. So in this case, there is no trusted party. Okay. It's one-to-one. Second thing is decentralized ledgers on the internet. So whatever in Indian context, so whatever we are making the transaction in SBI, all these things, the ledger is with the SBI or with the RBI. It's not with the everyone. It is not on the internet. So but in this case, Bitcoin, the ledger which contains the transactions, all the transactions, that is on internet. So it's completely, all the transactions are transparent. Okay, it's known to everyone. Okay. Third is peer-to-peer network. Okay. Fourth one is in the Bitcoin, you need very low transaction fee. So in the normal case, if you want to transfer some money from Chennai to USA, If you transfer 50K, maybe around 3K transaction fee will be there. But in this case, Bitcoin, the transaction fee is very low. Next one is not reversible. So it's the normal transactions. If you want to make it, if you have transferred some money through online SBI account, okay, so that can be reversed. You can request SBI that by mistake I have transferred this much money, so please revert it. So SBI which is a trusted party, they may consider it and they may revert it. But in this case, the Bitcoin, once it is transferred, it is transferred because there is no trusted party. Okay. All the transactions are known to everyone. So that already I told you, all the transactions are known. This we'll see later on. Now let's see the cryptographic hash function. So it uses the cryptographic hash functions with the blockchain technology. So what is the cryptographic hash functions? So it takes the input of arbitrary length and outputs the, you can say the outputs the fixed length of, let's say 512. You might have heard about 512. So SHA 512, secure hash algorithm. So input is very large and output is only 512 bits. So it's some kind of compressed, it's some kind of compression. Okay. So if you see this function will be many to one, because input is many and here is output is fixed. So definitely it is some kind of many to one function. So in many to one function, we know that there will be more than one message which will have the same hash value. Okay. So in many to one function, there will be more than one message which will have the same hash function. So that things will be there. So now, what are the cryptographic properties of this hash function? So first thing is pre-image resistant. So pre-image resistant, basically this algorithm is known to us, the hash algorithm is known to us, and output is given to us. The output of hash is given to us. To find the message is to my, given the hash algorithm is given to you, output is given to you. To find the message such that hash of that message is equal to output is hard. So this is one way function. Given the output, you cannot find the input. Okay. So hard basically means it's not impossible, but if someone tries, it will take 200 years, 300 years. Okay, this much time it will take. So that is the meaning of hard. Second thing is pre-image resistant. Second pre-image resistant. Given a message M1, it's hard to find another message M2 such that hash of M1 is equal to hash of M2. Although it is possible, I say this is many to one function. Okay, so there will be two messages which will have the same hash, but for the adversary it is possible, but it is for him, given a message M1, it will be hard to find another message M2 whose hash is same as hash of M1. It's possible, but if it tries, it may take 200 years, 300. It is a hard problem. Hard problem basically you can think of, it will take a lot of time, it will take impossible time, very long time. Okay, so in the real time system, you can say it's impossible. Okay, so this property will be used in the blockchain technology. Okay, so let's say given a block, okay, the message is block, it's hard to find another block which has the same hash as the previous block. Okay, so this is the case. If I give you one block, this is the block. Okay, it will be hard to find another block which has same hash as this block. So that, okay, this hard. Similarly, this one, so it's hard to find two messages which are the same thing. So these both are similar. Here it is, message is given to us. Here you have to find any two messages. Okay, so this is, so second property we'll see. We'll use this part. Okay. Now let's see some other cryptographic primitives. You might have heard about classical cryptography or symmetric cryptography. So classical cryptography, you might have heard about Caesar cipher. The Caesar cipher, what thing is, both the parties they are sharing the key which is equal to 3. Okay, Caesar cipher, both the classical cryptography and symmetric cryptography, both in this case, both the parties, they have to share a common key. Okay, so in this Caesar cipher, both the parties are sharing a common key 3, k equal to 3. And then the sender will, let's say sender has a message as ABC. Okay, so ABC, the corresponding ciphertext will be, for A, it will be D, B, E, F, D, E, F. And once the receiver gets D, E, F, he will subtract -3 and he will get ABC. This is the way symmetric crypto system, or you can say it works. Okay, and like in DS, AES, and RC4, all are symmetric crypto systems. And if you use these symmetric crypto systems, both the parties, they have to share a common key. So that is the prerequisite. Clear? Now, if you want to make a secure communication with your friend in USA, first you have to share a common key. Now, how to share a common key? There is no method to share a common key. You can't share through phone because someone may be listening to you. You can't share the common key through internet. Someone may be listening, someone may intercept the communication. Okay, so the only thing is to share a common key is you have to meet, both the parties, they have to meet physically, and then they can share the common key. Okay, so this is the problem in the symmetric system. The symmetric systems are very good, very efficient. The problem is both the parties, they have to share a common key. Okay, so this is the thing. Now, if both the parties have to share a common key, that's the problem. So this, because of this, people have, all the cryptographers, they were thinking about some other alternatives where these kind of sharing a common key is not required. So in 1976, two scientists, Diffie and Hellman, they gave the idea of public key cryptography. So the public key in this cryptography, in the public key cryptography, both the parties, they don't need to share a common key. Without sharing a common key, they can make a secure communication. Okay, so what is their idea? Their idea was every user will have 2 keys. Okay, the first key is public key, which he has to make it public. Okay, so I'll have 2 keys, one public key, one private key. Private key I will not reveal to anyone. I'll keep with myself. Okay, that is private to me. And public key, I have to make it public. So like my public key is, let's say, kunwar@NITT.edu. So I'll keep this, my public key, in my web secure place, like my NITT website. NITT website, I'll write there that Kunwar Singh has public key, kunwar@NITT.edu. So like that, you have to make it public. Okay. So now, how to encrypt? So encryption is some kind of locking. Okay. So that no one can open it. Those who have the key, those who have the right key, only they can open it. So the Diffie-Hellman, they gave the idea that the encryption can be, or you can say locking, can be done with both the keys, private key as well as public key. Okay, that one. But decryption is basically opening the lock, getting the message. So decryption or opening the lock can be done by both the keys, but the thing is, but the decryption key should be different from the encryption key. If someone has encrypted, if someone has encrypted the lock, someone has encrypted the message using public key, your public key, then it can be opened by, it can be decrypted by, or it can be opened by only your private key. Okay, different. Encryption key and decryption key should be different. If someone has logged, or you can say encrypted, using your, if you have encrypted using your private key, then it can be decrypted using your public key. This was the case. Similarly for other person also. Okay, so this was the case. So now the thing is, suppose I want to send a confidential message to you. Okay, I have the message and I want to send a confidential message to you. By which key I should encrypt, by which key I should log this message, or by which key I should encrypt the message. Anyone can answer it? Any participant, they can answer it. I want to send a confidential message to you. Okay. So by which key I should encrypt the message? Or you can say by which key I should lock the message. Anyone?
Sir, yeah, good morning, sir.
Public key,
Yeah, public key of the
Yeah,
receiver. Public key of a receiver.
receiver.
yeah, yeah, very good, very good, very good. Okay, so yeah, very good. So what I'll do is I'll have the message. I'll encrypt the message using public key of the receiver. Okay. Now this ciphertext goes to the receiver, and this ciphertext also goes to the adversary also. Okay, adversary also can intercept the ciphertext. But now this lock can be opened by which person? Who knows corresponding private key. Because it is locked by public key, it can be opened by only private key. And who knows the private key? That the receiver knows the private key. Only it means only the receiver can decrypt or open this message. Okay, only receiver can open this message. Clear? So that's why it is a confidential message. Confidential message basically means the message which only the receiver can open it. So adversary cannot open it because adversary doesn't know the private key of the receiver. Okay, so this is the case. Now, but yeah, you can see here, the figure wise. So already you know this part little bit. So you can see this figure wise. This is the case. Public key, encrypt and public key, and the receiver will get the things, and he will decrypt the message ciphertext using the private key. Okay. Now briefly I'll go through this. Public key encryption consists of 3 algorithms. Okay. So first part is everyone has to create a private key and public key. Second part is they have to encrypt. Okay. So encryption can be randomized one. Randomized encryption basically means for the same message, different time, different ciphertext will be there. Okay. Clear? So for the same message, if I encrypt, the ciphertext will be different. Next time if I encrypt, the ciphertext will be different. They will use random numbers. So because of the different time, random number will be different. So the ciphertext will be different. Okay. Decryption will be deterministic. It's always one-to-one. Okay. So deterministic. It cannot be randomized one. Okay. Okay. So the correctness criteria is the decryption of encrypted message will be the message. So that is the correctness criteria. Okay. Now RSA is not, it has deterministic encryption scheme. Algol is randomized encryption scheme. Okay. So these are the 2 well-known things. Then ECC is there. Elliptic curve crypto system is part of the lightweight, and all this cryptocurrency Bitcoin on Ether, Ethereum, they use ECC. So because ECC is part of the lightweight public key crypto system. Okay. Okay. So now, if you can see this figure, you see AES of 128 bit key and RSA of 3072 bits, both give the same level of security. Okay. So both give the same level of security, and 192 of AES, and it requires 7680 bit of RSA. Clear? So the AES with a small key size and RSA has big key size, both are giving the same level of security. Now in the AES you have small numbers. Okay, you can say small numbers, and RSA you have big numbers. So you can think of this way that the calculation in ASA will take more time because the numbers are more, and AES the calculation will be less time. So this way you can think of. But anyway, the AES is much more efficient than the RSA. So this is the ratio of efficiency. Okay. So not only AES, all the symmetric systems are much more efficient than the asymmetric systems or public key cryptography like RSA, Algol, or even ECC is better than. So you see ECC is much better than the RSA, but still it is worse than the AES. It's 256 and 128. Okay. So among the public key cryptography, well-known public cryptography, ECC is the best one. It takes less time. So that's why it is also called is also called lightweight public key crypto systems. It's part of lightweight. Lightweight basically means in which the computation part, while encrypting, the cost is least. So that is called lightweight public key crypto system. Okay. So now another question is, if symmetric systems are much more efficient than the public key crypto system, then why to use public key crypto system? Okay. So the public key crypto system, the main objective, there are so many other things also is there nowadays coming up for public key crypto system, but the main objective is, now you and me want to communicate. We want to send a big file, lot of messages. We want to exchange lot of messages. Okay. So, but symmetric system requires shared key, but we are not sharing the key. Till now, we are not sharing the key. So what you will do is, first time, using public key cryptography, we will share a common key. Okay. So public key cryptography main objective is to share a common key. After that, one can use the symmetric cryptography like AES, DES. Okay. So how do you share the common key? One of the ways, there are so many ways, efficient ways. One of the ways, since we trust each other, I'll choose a key. I'll choose a 128-bit key. I want to use AES, so I'll choose a 128-bit key. And what I'll do is, I'll encrypt this 128-bit key using your public key and send it to you. Okay. And you'll receive the ciphertext, and you can decrypt this ciphertext using your private key. Okay. And this way, what will happen? Finally, both you and me will be sharing a 128-bit key size. Okay. And now we will be sharing a common key. After that, we can use AES. Clear? So this is the main objective of public key cryptography. So mainly between two nodes, they will part of public key cryptography. They will share a common key, and then they will use AES or DES, all these things. Okay. Okay. So this is the okay. Okay. So now let's see the signature. Oh, 1 minute. Hey, Asya, Anna, okay. So now another cryptographic primitive is signature. Okay. So let's see the normal signature. What is the normal signature? So you have Alice is, let's say, principal of some college. He wants to sign. He wants to make a sign on the report card of the. He wants to make a sign on report card of the person. This is the report card of the person. What he does is, using his unique handwriting skill, that is only he can do it. Some kind of, it is private to him. Only he can make it. So using that handwriting skill, he makes a signature below the message. Okay. And the signature is independent of the message. Whether this is the report card of Alice, Bob, or X and Y, the signature will be same. Okay. Now the signature is independent. And then this signature is given to the everyone else, those who need. Okay. So then the person who knows the previous signature of Alice, he will match this signature. Okay. If it is matches, you will verify it. That yeah, this is signed by the owner. No. So this is signed by the Alice. Clear? So this is the way normal signature works. Okay. So now only thing is, normal signature, I told you, it is independent of the message. Now let's come to the digital signature. Digital signature is also similar to normal signature. Okay. Only thing is, here instead of unique handwriting skill, which is private, some kind of private to here private key will be there. Okay. So if you don't put the private key, then anyone can make the signature. For the signature, one has to give some kind of some information which only Alice knows. Like previous case, unique handwriting skill. Okay. So now in the digital system, Alice private key. So you have to put some kind of things which is only known by the person. Otherwise, anyone can make the signature. So now, since the signature requires private key, so no one can make the signature. Okay. For signature, you need private key. Okay. So yeah, here the digital signature requires message also. This is a function which requires message and private key, and it gives the signature on message M. Okay, it gives the signature on message M. Okay, so now same as previous one. Everyone else, whoever knows Alice public key, Alice's public key, he will make his public key, one key as a public. That he will make it public. Whoever knows public, they can easily verify the message. They can easily verify the message that this message M is signed by the Alice. So this is the digital signature. Now the difference between digital signature and the normal signature, you have to see here, the digital signature depends on the message. Okay, the normal signature does not depend on the message. Clear? So if you see why digital signature should depend on the message, you can see here. Anyway, digital signature will consist of, it's not unique handwriting skill. It will be finally it will be 0101, something like combination of 01. Okay. So if the attacker, if the adversary knows my previous digital signature, okay, M and 0101, what you can do is you can copy my digital signature and you can create new message and paste that signature there. Okay, then it will be big fraud. Okay, so that's why the digital signature depends on the message. So different time, different message, different digital signature. Okay. Okay, so this part, the cryptography part is over. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me. If till this point, if anyone has doubt, so now we will see the blockchain technology. Okay, there is no
Hello,
doubt.
sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, this is Nakiran, research scholar from Amrita, sir.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, yeah.
Sir, actually, I am little bit known of this crypto things. Actually, I am working for industrial cyber security and IoT related to machine learning. Little bit I am knowing of these crypto things. I want to know how the public key and private key is getting interrelated for a single person. For a person, public and private key for each user has public and private key, right, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
If the person B want to send a message, then he want to encrypt using A's public key, right?
Yeah,
Then it should be decrypted only by the person of A private key, right?
yeah.
My question is how the public key and private key is getting binded by the system itself or the application itself, how it is getting binded?
Yeah. So yeah, the question is, I didn't go to schemes. Okay, so like RSA scheme. Okay, the RSA scheme, any scheme, first part is the user has to generate the private key and public key. Okay, so there are methods. Okay, there are key generation algorithm is there. Okay, like private key is like RSA.
Okay, sir.
Or you can say, let's take simple case, Algol. RSA little bit things are there. Algol. So Algol, you might have heard about Algol. So here it is simple things. So here you have G is a cyclic group. Okay, cyclic group with generator Z. This will be open public parameter. Now what you will do is the user will choose one X, okay, number, which will be element of less than P, which is less than prime number P. And this will be his private key. Okay, and then what is the public key? Then G to the power X will be public key. Yeah, so they are related. It's not like they both are independent. If they are independent, then you can't do decryption, encryption in the way we want. Okay, they are related. So some mathematical formula is such that if you encrypt using public key, you can decrypt using private key. If you encrypt using private key, you can decrypt using public key. The mathematical formula will be there. Okay, so if time permits, I'll just discuss about RSA later on. So you will realize that how it is done. Clear?
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Very clear, sir.
Okay. So now let's see some blockchain now. Okay. So blockchain. So let's see. So as a name, you can see the name blockchain. Chain of blocks. Okay. So here you have blocks. 1 block, 2 block, 3 block, and you have Genesis block. Like this, are so many blocks will be there. Okay. And these blocks will have transactions that that person A has transferred 5 Bitcoin to B. Person C transferred 1 Bitcoin to D. Like this, some transactions will be there. The size of the block, generally it is 1 megabyte. And 1 megabyte, if it can contain maybe 10 transactions. Okay. So like this, some transactions will be there. Okay. Then here, upper part, here it will be a hash pointer. Okay. What is the hash pointer here? Hash and address of previous block. So this part will be the hash and address of this block, and this part it is transactions. Then upper part will be hash pointer, hash and address of this block. Similarly, this part will have hash and address of this block. Like this one, so some kind of linked list. So linked list, you have addresses. Here you have hash also of previous block. Okay, so this is the chain of blocks. Clear? And all these blocks are transparent. Okay, it is with the internet, it is on the internet, it is with the every user. Okay, only thing is this Genesis block, it is kept secret. This cannot be changed. So this is the organizers, they have kept secret. Okay, so little bit some power problem is there, so I'll just maybe after some time I may have to switch on to another system.
Yeah, please sir. Please sir. Please, sir.
आना लाइट आ रही है? हाँ? हाँ? वो बुआ का लैपटॉप लगाना है। यहाँ पे रखो। यहाँ पे बुआ का लैपटॉप यहाँ पे रखो। Okay. So this is the case. Okay. So now, on a Genesis block is kept secret. So now let's say this part. Now, since this is with the public on the internet, so anyone can tamper it. So what I'll do is, let's say this part is A to B. A is transferring to B. Okay, one transaction is there. So what I'll do is, I am the adversary, I'll keep my name here. Okay. I can tamper this one. Okay, so I'll get some Bitcoin. So I can put my address here and I'll get the Bitcoin. So this tamper. So now that if you do some tampering here, this block will change. This block will change. Okay. Now this block will change, this hash also will change. Okay. Now if hash will change, so this value will change here. So if I tamper it, people will know it, because people will say this block is not valid one, because this hash of this block is here. Okay. So if I want to tamper this one, what I'll do is I'll tamper also this hash part. I'll change this hash. Okay, that is possible. So I'll change this one here, and then I got new hash. I'll replace this new hash with the old hash. Again, now this block is changed. Again, this block is changed. Okay, this hash also will change. कितना है? So again, this will change. Okay, and then I have to change it here. So basically, if I want to tamper here, okay, I have to change all the subsequent blocks. Okay, so that is the thing. If I tamper here, I have to change. So that is not possible. Okay, so you can't change all the blocks. So the completely blockchain will change. Okay, so that's why it is blockchain is safe. You can store the data. You can put the codes there, so no one can tamper with it. If somebody tries to tamper with it, it will be known to one. Okay, if you tamper something here, he has to tamper all the subsequent blocks. So that is not possible. Okay. Second thing is here, let's say this is the block. Okay, this is the block is there. This is the block. What I'll do is I'll create a block where the transactions are to Kunwar B. So I'm the adversary. I'll create a block where the transactions in the transaction, the receiver is myself, Kunwar. Okay, so I'm getting 2 Bitcoin, 3 Bitcoin, all these things. Yeah. And I'll create this block in such, because in the block also, not only transactions, some other information also will be there, like nonce, number of used ones, and some other addresses, something will also be there. So I'll change other parameters in such a way that hash of this block, my block, new block, is same as this one. So I'll create a block such that whose hash is same as this block. Okay. So now after that, what I'll do, I'll remove this block and I'll put my block. No one can recognize this because this block hash will be here, and that hash this hash is same as this hash. So nobody can recognize it. Okay. So this will be a big fraud. Why this fraud cannot be? Why this block cannot be possible? Anyone can guess? I create a block whose hash is same as block of this block, and but in this case it will be big fraud. I'll be getting a lot of Bitcoins. Why this is not possible? Anyone?
Hash is going to be
Hash
changed,
is-
sir.
Yes.
Hash not going to change.
The hash is available in the previous block, sir. So
No.
Hash.
Here it is not available here. See, this block's hash is here. I'll put it here. This block's hash, it will be there. Okay, those things are there. And then I'll create a block with some other nonce something.
Yes, sir. Timestamp will change, no, sir. Suppose it
Time
is somebody
also-
try to insert it. Timestamping also will
No,
be
time
changed.
also, so let's say a timestamp is there, but it is some within some, let's say some interval will be there where you cannot do, you can change it. The people cannot recognize it. Okay. So as I told you, the hash function. What is the property of hash function? Secondary image resistant. Given this message, it is hard to find another message which has same hash. It's hard. You can't do it. This is hard problem. If you want to do it, will
Correct.
take many years. That's what I told you. Given a block, it is hard to find another block which has the same hash. Clear?
Yeah,
So this is not possible. This is not possible. So that's why I told you the cryptographic primitives are used here for the security of blockchain. Cryptographic primitives are used. So given a block, I cannot create another block which has the same hash as this block. If I can do it, then big fraud will be there, because everything is public. Okay, so this is related to secondary pre-image property of cryptographic hash functions. Okay. So now we'll come to the coins, hypothetical cryptocurrency. How the coins creation is very easy. It's not already you have seen how the coins can be created. See in the college canteen, if I give some, I have to buy something. I have to buy dosa, and I have given 50 rupees to him, and that canteen owner doesn't have 30 rupees. So what he does is he will write a paper and he will make it 30 rupees, and he makes his signature and he gives to me, and that becomes the currency. And what I do is I take this currency, I give it to my friend, that if you go to canteen, you can use it. And then he gives to someone else. So finally one person goes to canteen and he buys something of 30 rupees. So this is some kind of currency. Okay. It can be some kind of currency. Only thing is this is hard currency. This is hard currency. So what is the currency? The currency, hard currency, is basically you have money and you have signature here. That's what, if the person they trust your signature, then they will use it. Okay, so basically here the things are trusting on the signature. If you trust the signature, this becomes the currency. Okay, same way also the digital currency, you can say cryptocurrency, decentralized currency, it works. Okay, so now let's say the Goofy has somehow he got the coin, Bitcoin. How one will get the Bitcoin, we'll see later on. Okay, Goofy got the coin, let's say Bitcoin. Okay, now this Bitcoin he got somehow. Now he will give this, he wants to give it, he want to put it into the circulation. He gives this Bitcoin to Alice. Okay, and this he has written pay to Alice, given to Alice. Okay, and he makes signature. Okay, so he has given, say, pay to Alice, and he has below he has signed digital signature. Okay, now this will belongs to Alice now. Simple thing. Okay, this circulation. Now Alice wants to give it to Bob. What same thing, you pay to Bob and he will sign it. Now this coin belongs to Bob. Okay, this is cryptocurrency. This is what cryptocurrency works. Okay, so I got some currency, digital currency somehow. How you will get that we'll see. That is not because this is a decentralized one. If it is trusted party, then one can create it. But this is decentralized part. Who will create that part? We will see later on. Suppose somehow the Goofy gets the coin, and he signs, give it to Alice. Alice signs, give it to. This becomes currency. Now the problem with this part, this hypothetical one, we will define this part. Okay. So problem with this one, this looks okay, but one problem is there. The Alice can cheat also because this is digital currency. Okay, what he'll do is he'll same thing with the currency he gives to Chuck also, because it's not hard currency. So hard currency you cannot forge with digital currency. So what is the same digital currency he has signed and given to Bob, and same digital currency he has signed, give it to Chuck. This is called double spending problem. Okay, so this is cryptocurrency, but the only problem is double spending attack. So if you can remove the double spending attack, this may become a cryptocurrency. Okay, so we'll see this one. So now what we'll do is we'll remove on this part, we'll remove double spending attack. Okay, so how will we remove double spending attack? We'll put all these transactions in a centralized place. Okay, this is a centralized place like blockchain. We'll put it, this block will have some transactions, this will have transactions. So all are in the centralized place. Okay, all the transactions are in centralized place. So now if it is centralized place, so Alice already given the Bob his Bitcoin. Now after some times he is trying to give it the same currency to Chuck. So what do you learn? People will know it. There will be unspent coins. So people easily they can check it whether this coin was already used or not by searching it. They can easily check it. Okay. Once they know that this is already used, then they will reject the Alice transactions. Okay. So this is the way. So now you got the idea, and what is the thing is you get the coin, sign it, put it into the centralized place. What is the centralized place? How the centralized place are there? They are some kind of chain of blocks. Okay. So this way, no one can make a double spending attack. So this is called cryptocurrency. Okay. So now this is cryptocurrency. Now only one thing is there. Okay. Who will add? Adding the, you can't say this one person to, you can't say that anyone can add the block into the blockchain. This may create a lot of chaos. Okay, so now only thing is here, this is the cryptocurrency. Now only thing is, the question is who will add block into blockchain? Okay, because this is decentralized one. There is no trusted party. There is no RBI. Okay, so that is the question. So if that part is over, then that will become the cryptocurrency. Okay, so before that, you see the transactions will be like this one. Input 5 Bitcoin, output Bob's address, log time, the timing, somebody to a time span. Nonce also will be there. So some signed by the Alice. So these are the transactions. Okay. Yeah. So now, as I told you, as a centralized place, you have to show that I got some Bitcoin, 5 Bitcoin from Alice. Okay, this is my Bitcoin I got from this one. Now this is there in the blockchain. Okay, I have to, this is unspent. Okay, so this is not spent. Okay, so I have to convince the people that I got 5 Bitcoin from Alice, and this I have not spent till now. Okay, so one thing is all unspent coins transactions will be there. Transactions will be there, and one has to search one by one. The verifier has to search one by one. So if you have n unspent coins, verifier, if you linearly search, it will take big O of n time. Okay, so this can be done, this verification can be done in log n time using Merkle's tree. Okay, so Merkle, the scientist, he gave the idea of Merkle tree. So what is this one? These are the unspent transactions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say 4 only. Okay, so what he'll do is find the hash of this one. That will be this one. Hash of this one, this one. Hash of this one, this one. Now hash of these two will be here. Hash of these two will be here. Okay, and a hash of these two will be here, root hash, and the root hash will be in the block. So block has one more, like timestamp, previous hash, nonce. It also has root hash. Okay, this also will be there. That will be there in the block. Clear? Now, suppose this is my transactions where I have got 5 Bitcoin twice. I have to convince the person that, yeah, this money is not spent. Okay, so the in big of log n time. So what I'll do is here, this is the my coin, and I have to give this transaction to him, and then this value, right value, then this value. Why this value? That you can think of. Okay, so these three I'll give. Okay, with the transactions. Okay, these three values. So now what the verifier will do? They will have this one, this one, this one, and with these three values, they will verify that this transaction is valid one. This is not spent till now. Okay, so how they will do? I have given this one. They will find hash of this one. They got this part, and already I have given this to him. These two he has. He will find hash of these two, that he got this one. Now he got this part, and he has this one. So you will find hash of these two. And if the hash of these two is same as the root hash in the block, okay, then he will say that, yeah, this is the valid one. If it is not, then he will reject. He says this is fraud. Okay. Now in this process, you can see how much time it will take. 1, 2, 3 computations. So it will take height of the tree. So height of the tree is, if you have n nodes, height of the tree will be log n. So it will take big O of log n time. If you do the linear search, it will take n time. So this is the Merkle tree. Bitcoin, they are using this kind of Merkle tree. Okay, for unspent transactions. Okay, this is the formality. So now, as I told you, we got the centralized blockchain. Okay, so you can assume that we have transactions and we are putting into the blockchain. Okay, so because of that one, no one can make a double spending attack. Clear? So now the problem is that you can't say that everyone can add block into the blockchain. Okay, if you allow everyone, then what will happen? People will add block into the blockchain. Some just to create problem to others. So okay, this you can't do. So what? So there is a consensus algorithm. The consensus algorithm is basic purpose is, so there is a consensus among all the user of the Bitcoin users that who will add block into the blockchain. So they will decide that this person will add block into the blockchain. Okay. So now what is the idea? Who will add? So there is a hash puzzle. Hash puzzle is not like mathematical puzzle. It's simple lottery kind of puzzle. So there is no mathematics involved in it. Okay. Like, what is this one? So you have, this is transactions will be there, previous hash will be there. These are somewhat fixed. You can't change transactions already, which whatever the transactions will be there in the transaction pool, you have to choose among them. And then previous hash also is fixed. Then you can choose the nonce. Timestamp also is fixed. Then you can say timestamp also you can vary a little bit, but not much. Nonce only you can change it. Okay. So you have to choose nonce. This is, you can say, other parameters are fixed. Okay. Constant, you can say. Only nonce you can vary it. So nonce, you choose nonce. Randomly you choose one nonce, such that if you choose nonce such that whose hash is very small in this space. Hash output is, let's say this is 512 bit. Okay, this big number is there, hash output from 0 to, let's say, big one some number is there. Now if you can get the nonce whose hash is very small in this target space, then basically you have solved the hash puzzle. This is the hash puzzle. You have to get the message. Basically this is already fixed. This is the message. In this message, this part is already fixed. Only this nonce, so you can change it. So you have to get the message whose hash is very, very, very small. If you can do that one, you have solved the hash puzzle. This is the, and this, there is no mathematics involved. There is no algorithms are there to make it faster. Only this part, already you know it. The hash functions are, cryptographic hash functions are one way. Given output, you can't find input. Okay, so you can't find input. So if you give this output, you can't find the input. That is a hard problem. Okay, so only way is by try, one by one try. You choose a nonce, find the hash. If it is very small, then you are very, very, very lucky. If it is not small, like this, in this range, you try another nonce. And similarly, you try. So after sometimes you may be lucky, you never may not be lucky. Okay, so this is the hash puzzle. Okay, so this is just like a lottery system. You buy more lottery, the chances that you may get one will be more. If you buy less, the probability will be less. Same here also. Okay, this is the hash puzzle. Okay, so now what is the hash? What is the hash puzzle? So now, in this case, in the hash puzzle case, the people will try to solve the hash puzzle. Those who will be able to solve the hash puzzle will have right to add block into blockchain. Okay, so among all the users, everybody will try to solve this hash puzzle. Whoever will be able to solve this hash puzzle will have right to add block into blockchain. Others, they cannot write it. Okay, this is the consensus algorithm. Okay, what is the consensus algorithm? So whoever will solve the hash puzzle will have the right to add block into the blockchain. So blockchain is some kind of centralized place where all the transactions are kept. Okay. Now this is the case. So now formally I'll say that what is the consensus algorithm. So I have transactions. I'll broadcast to all the nodes, and finally it will be kept in the transaction pool. Okay. So I have all the transactions will be in the transaction pool. So those who want to solve this part, so because this requires a lot of power, a lot of computational power, everyone may not be interested. Okay, everyone may not have that much capability. Okay, so what they, those who want to solve, those who solves, they will be called miner. But those who want to solve, well, they will collect the transactions, some transactions, and make a block. Okay, make a block and try to change the nonce, and try to solve the puzzle. If they solve the puzzle, they will have right to add block into the new block into blockchain. And for that, the node which solves this one, it is called miner, and he will be rewarded 12.5 Bitcoin. And how much one Bitcoin is? $11,850. So one Bitcoin is how many crores? You can see big money. Okay, so that's why this is incentive to solve the hash puzzle, incentive to become to be the honest. Okay, so since this lot of money is involved here, so honest people will come forward to solve this puzzle. Clear? So this idea. Once this puzzle is solved, then other nodes will accept the block if the transactions in it are valid. Okay, if the transactions are valid, they will see validity, and then and not express their acceptance of the block by working on 12. So they not, let us say till now this block is there, they will accept, and then they will add the new block into this already existing blockchain. This is the way it works. Okay, so this is Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, you have simple things. I can summarize it. Get the coin, sign it, and then because of this double spending attack may be there, put them into centralized place. After that, who will add the block into the blockchain? The person who solves this puzzle. Okay, that person only can add block into the blockchain. So this is the what cryptocurrency works. So now if I little bit more, I'll tell you. So this, it was blockchain was cryptocurrency was Bitcoin was given by the Nakamoto. Okay, Nakamoto in 2008. That time this reward money was 50, and they told that after every 4 years the reward money will be by half. So 8 to 12 it was 50, 12 to 16 it was 25, now 16 to till now it is 12.5. Maybe it might have changed also, it might have become 6.25 or going to change. Okay, so roughly around 4 years it is becoming half. Okay, not only this, so this money the miner will get it. If I send a transaction, okay, I send a transaction, it is option for me to put some transaction money. I can put zero also, I can put some small transaction money also. Okay, so why this transaction money I put it? So that because the miner has choice, he has 100 of transactions. Those he will choose those transactions which has some transaction money also is there. Okay, so that may be the incentive. So this transaction money also goes to the miner. So not only this reward money, the transaction money also goes to the miner. So the miner has enough incentive to be honest. Okay, so this is the case. Okay, so this part is over. Bitcoin is over. Now, I told you this proof of work. This consensus algorithm is called proof of work. This is used in Bitcoin. Is also used in Ether also. This is why quite popular. But this is very good. But the problem is, disadvantage is, see, 100 now money is very big. So many companies are completely working on it to solve the hash puzzle. Many companies in the cold area of China, cold area of Europe, many places, they are working completely. They have supercomputers, they have parallel computing, all these things they are kept there to solve the hash puzzle. Because money is very, very much. And you see, one block in 10 minutes, one block will be there. In 1 hour, you can say 6 blocks will be there. Okay, so if you can solve in 1 hour, if you solve one block, see how much money will be there. Every hour, if you solve one block, so 24 hours, you can get 24 blocks, and then money 24 into that much crore. Okay, this big money is there, so everybody is working. Now things are like that. Everybody is working. Everybody is putting their computational power. Everybody is putting their electricity. Okay, computational power is electricity. Okay, now let's say 100 companies are working on one particular time, one particular block. So out of 100, only one will get it, and the 99% electricity will go waste. Okay, this is the problem. So now if you see how many blocks are there in 1 year, you have in 1 year, you can say number of blocks will be 365. In 10 minutes, you have one block. Similarly, you can calculate number of blocks in 1 year. Okay, and then you see 100 or 1,000 people are working on it, the electricity. So one rough estimate is that in 1 year, this proof of work consensus algorithm requires this much electricity, 54 terawatt. Okay, and it is calculated that this much electricity is the requirement of the small countries like New Zealand and Hungary. Hungary, they need 1 year, they need this much electricity. Okay, so this much electricity gets wasted. Okay, so if you waste this much electricity every year, how much the earth is, another aspect is environment effect. So Earth is warming. Okay, so that is another one. This is disadvantage of the proof of work. The next, the consensus algorithm was given is, this is called proof of stake. Okay, so proof of stake, what is that one? Now the idea is here. The idea is here. Let's say I have somehow I got 1,000 Bitcoin, and you have 500 Bitcoin, and some other person has 1 lakh Bitcoin. Okay, so tomorrow this Bitcoin system goes down. It gets, because it is decentralized one. This is not SBI, or this is not cooperative bank where the government will support all these things. Once it goes down, nobody, this is completely decentralized one. So you can't expect someone will support and put it up, make it up. Okay. So once it goes down, who will be sufferer? Those persons, those who have high Bitcoin. The person who has, you have 1 lakh Bitcoin, you will be more sufferer. So let's say now 1 Bitcoin value is now 1 lakh rupees. Okay. And you have 1,000 Bitcoin. Now tomorrow it goes down, 1 lakh becomes 1,000. Who will be the loser? You will be the loser. Okay. And I have 500, I will also be the loser. Okay. So the thing is, those who have more stake in it, they will not destroy, they will not try to destroy it. Okay. They will try to build it. Okay. So the idea is, in this case is here, the users who have significant stake in the system have an economic incentive in keeping the system running according to the protocol specification. Okay. As the risk, they risk that their stakes will become worthless if trust in the cryptocurrency vanishes. The proof of stake be built. So thing is, since these people will have incentive to keep it, make it worth. Okay. So what they will be try to be more honest, and they will try to make they will try to be more honest, and they will try to make it, this system, more stable. So what you can do is, what the system is, that you can give the right to add block to the blockchain to these persons. So that is the idea here. So now what they are doing is, let's say Alice has 20% stake, Bob has 15%, and I have 5%. So what Alice will get? Alice will get 20% coin, and Bob will get 50% coin. I'll get 5% coin. You will get 1% because you have 1% stake. Another person will have 4% coin. He will get it. So everybody got it. Everybody got some coins, and out of this coin, randomly they will select one coin. Okay. So whose coin will come? That person will have right to add the block into the blockchain. So obviously the Alice has more coins, 20% coins. So his probability will be 0.2, 20%. I have only one coin, so I will have 0.01 probability. So those who have more coin, they will have higher chance to add the block into the blockchain. So this is the one. Okay, this is called. So this may replace maybe some applications they are using it, but this in the future, maybe what they are telling is Ethereum, they may replace it, because before to use this one, it requires some time, so that people will get some coin. Okay, then only people starting, you can't use this one. So after some time, once many people have coins, Bitcoin, all these things, after that they may switch to proof of stake. Okay, so this may replace. Okay, so the last part is now everything is over. Everything is over. So the last part is Bitcoin wallet. Okay, so now, as I told you, and you might have heard about, Bitcoin is used by the criminals, the rogue parties. Okay, because here things are, your name is not there. Okay, like SBI, your account number, name will be there, but here it's not there. So here the transactions are addresses. Addresses are some number, basically 1, 2, 5, 3, 1, like this, 0, 100, and this is transferring to some other number, 5, 4, 5. Okay, so this, like the addresses. What is the addresses? You have private key, then you have public key, then hash of public key is the Bitcoin address. Okay, So this from here, you can't get public key. Okay, you can't, even public key is known, even my public key is known to someone. They, if I give the address, they cannot know my public key because this is one-way function. Okay, anyway, the transfer is between addresses. I have transferred this from this, I have this address, I have transferred 5 Bitcoin to this one, and this address belongs to you. Okay, now the 5 Bitcoin is transferred to this, 5 Bitcoin is transferred to this address. Okay, digital coin. Now you have to claim that this is my address. This is my address. Okay, so what you have now, digital signature again is used here. So what you have to do is you have to sign using for this Bitcoin address, okay, corresponding private key. Using this private key, you have to sign. If the Bitcoin is on this address, the corresponding private key, you have to use the corresponding private key and you have to sign it. And the sign also, you have to give public key also. So that people can verify it. You have to sign and you have to give public key. And people can verify that this address is the hash of this one. Okay, so this way they can verify it. Okay, so you have to sign it and then you can claim that this is yours. Clear? So to spend Bitcoin, owner has to produce signature corresponding to this address. So basically corresponding to this address, you have to produce a signature using this private coin. Okay, so what is the wallet here? There is no hard currency. So wallet is nothing but here you have to remember. Suppose somebody has transferred 5 Bitcoin to this address. Okay, this address. Clear? Now you forgot corresponding private key. If you forgot corresponding private key, you can't produce the signature. Okay, it basically means you have lost the money. Money is gone. Clear? So the wallet is nothing but storing the private key and address. Storing the private key and the address. That is the wallet. Okay, so if you lost private key corresponding to this address, you got lost the money. Okay, so now second thing is, now one more thing is, let's say I am using this address to transfer the money. So I have used many 100 times, I have used this one. So maybe after some times people will know that, hey, this address belongs to Conversing. Okay, so then my anonymity will be lost. Okay, so to make it anonymous, what the first thing is they have done it, they are using addresses. Okay, second thing what they have done is they are telling that Bitcoin, you can create many pair of private key addresses, not only one. This is private key address A1, PK1, PK2, A2. Like this one, hundreds, you can thousands, PK 1000, A1000. You can create so many private key and addresses. And maybe some cases you can use this one, some cases you can use this one, some cases you can make this one. So people will not know that whether this address belongs to me or not. So this is the way anonymity is maintained. This is also completely not anonymous Bitcoin. The people have proved that this is not anonymous completely. That's why it's called pseudonymity. Okay, so somewhat anonymity is maintained in the Bitcoin. This is the way. First, they are using addresses, and second, they are having many pairs of private key and addresses. Sometimes they are using this is what cryptocurrency Bitcoin. So this with this one, Bitcoin is over.
Sir, Kunur sir, are you there?
Dear participants, already our resource speaker has informed us. He's having a very the climate at his place is very worst. Sometimes the network issues may arise. In that case, I may go back and join again. So we'll wait until then. So problem at resource person side. Due to
No problem,
heavy
madam.
rain and fog, the resource person has just now has gone. So he may be joined with us soon. Good morning, participants. Sir could not able to join with the presentation now due to heavy rain at his place and can't able to have a good network to go for a presentation. So sorry for the inconvenience happened today. So we wanted to wind up this day for first session. We'll meet that second session at 11:45 a.m. on today. So we'll have a break for another 10 to 15 minutes break.